Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to take a closer look at the fresh release from ICM. This is a completely new toolkit in a 1/32 scale, and frankly speaking, I'm quite surprised to see Yak-9T in 1/32 scale. It's a World War II Soviet fighter, and it would be interesting to check what is actually copied in this plastic, because we have a commercial sample here on the table, and it means that this is the final shape of this model. Nothing will change, and you'll get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. And first of all, I have to note the box art. It looks really beautiful, and it would be cool to get it as a poster, but unfortunately ICM does not do such things. And here you can see comparison with my hand. I would say it's a typical size for a 1/32 scale release from ICM. Here we have also short history note and some information about the kit. So there are 171 parts which should assemble into aircraft with a wingspan of 304 millimeters. So it's not that large model, even though it comes in a 1/32 scale. But let's not forget that this is a fighter aircraft, so that's why. And here on the opposite side you can see two marking options which are included into this kit, but I guess there might be more, maybe less, I mean two only, but we will check it in this video. And as usual, this box is sealed with a tape, so that's why I'm taking my knife and I'm going to cut through it. And I can also remind you, also as usual, that if these seals are broken, it means somebody was opening the box before you, and it's a good chance to ask seller why it was opened, and of course check all the parts before actually buying such kit. And of course, if you want to help us with our channel, and if you would like to support us, you can do a small donation which will help us to grow even bigger, to get some kits to be reviewed, and maybe to improve our equipment which is used for the reviews. So this is a typical box structure for ICM. As you can see, this top part is flexible, it doesn't provide any protection at all. And what is actually preserving the parts intact is this white cardboard box, and if I open it you can see that there is plenty of space inside. Just give me a second to bend it. Okay, so there is plenty of space inside. All the sprues are packed into the same plastic bag, and you can see by this wing that this aircraft is definitely in a 1/32 scale. There is no trickery, and it should be relatively big, even though the wingspan was not that huge. So it's a resealable plastic bag. It should be quick to open, and that's what I'm doing right now. Maybe you can also hear it, so just give me a moment. And we are going to check all this stuff one by one, just like as usual we do in our video reviews. Okay, so first of all we are going to start with the sprue B. Here we have wing parts, and I would say the overall parts division and design is typical for such element on the aircraft kit. What is kinda strange to me is that the flaps are pre-molded, so you won't be able to drop them on this aircraft, but we have separate ailerons at least. And also what I'm seeing is that, just give me a second to check. No, actually this is the different part, and my paints fell down, but anyway, so here you can see that we have panel lines in all necessary spots, and they're quite pronounced. So if we go into a bit closer view, so here you can see that they're not that deep, but I would say their thickness or deepness is quite enough. And here you can see also that we have some features for the internal or main wheel wells, and they should be visible once you combine these two, obviously. And also we have guiding elements. They're present both on the leading edges here, for example, and also on the trailing edge here. So it's not like only on the leading edge and then you have to work somehow on the trailing edge. And that's really cool. I like the design, and the overall molding quality is quite clean and crisp, so there are no complaints about this thing. Next we continue with another gray plastic sprue. This one is a D. And here we have some parts for the cockpit, from what I can understand from the first side, because these are the cockpit frames. This box, frankly speaking, I'm not sure where it will go. This should be the parts for the cannon and machine gun. And it's really interesting that these cockpit frames, they're actually molded as a single piece parts. It's quite a tricky molding, and still ICM managed to supply it as a single piece part. And as you can see, it might be a bit tricky to separate, but it will actually save you some time with overall, let's say, application and installation of all these parts together. You won't have to align anything separately, and that's really good. Next is the sprue E. So here we have mix of various parts. First of all, again, we take an overall look. You can see that these are the parts not only for the cockpit. We also have, for example, here exhaust stacks. We have some landing gear parts, landing gear legs here. And everything looks nice, so even the smallest parts, they look molded clean. Here you can see comparison with my finger so that you can understand the size of these parts. Exhaust stacks, they're also quite fine. I can maybe try to show you what we actually have here on the exhaust stacks. So I hope you can see that they look quite good for the standard plastic out of the box thing. And obviously I have no doubt that maybe we will see the aftermarket upgrade for this area, and it will be quite, I would say, useful. Not that original plastic is bad, but maybe resin will add even more features to this. Next, I'm opening a small plastic bag with clear frame. We have here the Canopy Parts. So these Canopy Parts, they look quite nice. I hope that this kit actually features the templates for all clear parts, and then it will be easier to mask them. But obviously you can open the cockpit with these parts, and I like that amount of the attachment points is reduced to the possible minimum, so you don't have to, let's say, try to carefully separate here and then there, you know. Next, we continue with the sprue lettered A. So this one is dedicated to fuselage halves. Again, we zoom out to take an overall look first, and as you can see, both halves are molded together with the tail fin. Note that the top cowling cover is actually molded as a single piece part, and that's really smart solution because you won't have any gaps in this area. I really like it. We have also separate rudder. Here we have instrument panel and some of the cockpit parts. And now we can return back to the zoom. And here you can see that we have also nice fabric surface imitation in the tail area. Also some panel lines in the cowling area. As well as here you can take a look at the instrument panel. Obviously aftermarket manufacturers will improve it with some P parts. And here, by the way, this top cover for the cowling. And here is another fuselage half, which looks quite good. Here you can take a closer look at what we have inside in the cockpit area. And of course we have the guiding elements there, so these large parts will be easy to combine together. By the way, just to give you the idea of the size, here is comparison with my hand. These are relatively large still, even though the dimensions are not as impressive and as in some other 1/32 scale kits. What is impressive is that here we get the engine out of the box. So this is the final gray plastic sprue, and here you can see some engine parts. I'm not sure how to expose it on the finished model, but maybe you will have an idea and you can write it in the comment section. Note that the lower section of the fuselage is actually molded separately, which is also a good thing to avoid unnecessary gaps in this area. And also here we have landing gear wheels, which look quite nice. So if I zoom in, here you can take a closer look at what we have. I would say that's more than enough for out-of-the-box build, and obviously professional modelers will resort to resin parts. Here you can take a closer look at the engine, and also some parts for the tail fairings, and some parts for the air intake. Fuselage panel, again you can see here the fabric surface imitation, and if you flip it over, here inside you can see in the landing gear wheels we have guiding elements, which will be also handy for the proper assembly. You won't have to deal with various, let's say, adventures during building this model. And now I'm trying to understand why this part is separate. Okay, I'll place it here. We have decals in the assembly manual. It's one decal sheet and it features all necessary symbols, so I will place this sprue aside. And here's the decal sheet. Maybe we close the lenses a bit, zoom in, And now you can see all these red stars and also some of the cockpit decals here. Obviously there are no seat belts included, so in case you would like to have a fully detailed cockpit, as I said, it's better to wait for some aftermarket which will give you a better features in the cockpit. And I think it's a really important thing in the 1/32 scale, so definitely worth investing into such addition for your model build. Next, we continue with assembly manual. This one is typical for ICM. We have short history note, technical specifications, and colors chart here. Next is the parts map, and note that all parts, surprisingly, they will be used for the assembly of this model. While the building process or assembly process, it starts with the cockpit. As you can see, you have to combine various parts here and there, and a lot of minor handles and levers are actually replicated with plastic, which is quite interesting. And next we continue with the cockpit walls. So pilot seat should be assembled in several stages. And then we join everything between the fuselage halves. Next we proceed with the lower bonnet panel or cooling panel, and then we start building the engine. So here we have quite interesting thing that this engine is assembled, inserted inside, and then just closed inside. It's really interesting why. And no, it's, as you can see, these steps are for the closed cooling, and then you have the steps for the open cooling, so you can leave it actually open. That's why we had this subframe. But I guess if you use this subframe, you won't be able to place the top cooling cover on it. Next we continue with the canopy parts and also air intake. I'm just trying to understand if we have the masks, because here we already working on the main wing and wheel wells. Then we join everything together and start building the landing gear elements. And here you can see the final step. So no masks template, which is rather strange because ICM was including it in the 1/32 scale releases, but here we do not have it. And then we proceed with the marking guide. That's the first marking option, second, third, and also fourth. So in total we have 4 marking options. This is really a nice surprise. And overall this kit looks rather nice. It should be already available and you can get it in Modelimax webshop. Of course, I'll be happy to hear your opinion about such a release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.